Morning, everybody, from Kota Kinabalu in Sabah in Malaysia. And this morning, we're all fired up because we have one purpose, and that is to find out more about ourselves. And how do we take control? How do we take responsibility of our own lives so that we can be of benefit to others? With me this morning, I have all the way from Washington, D.C., is a star of this morning, and it's night there. It's about 9 odd, at night, and she's none other than Dianna Campbell. Let me just read a little bit about Dianna, and then we're going to have a whole time with her. I hope the whole day and the year. And Dianna is she's a CEO and chief strategist at DiCam Strategic Solutions based in Washington, D.C. Dianna comes to us with 25 years or more of experience as a gifted partnership strategist and a relationship builder. And her ability to use her get-it-done attitude and collaborative work style makes her cut the difference. And she's got strategic advisory skills, and she has earned her respect of helping to chart the strategic technology pathway for a leading healthcare provider during the COVID-19 pandemic. More recently, she was the Vice President and Chief Development Officer at the National Council of Aging before launching her own boutique consultancy firm, the DiCam Strategic Solutions. So where she works with clients, she raises money, and she is focused on what she does and does well. So in Dianna's own words, she says this, and I quote, "To whom much is given, much is required." I'm blessed with a lot of skill sets that can move the dial on things I care about most. And so this morning, we're going to go deep into the heart of Dianna, the one and only Dianna Campbell, and we'll see how she's going to help us make life a better place to live in. So welcome to the Inner Club, Dianna.
Yay! I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so very much. And thank you for the warm introduction. Yes, I definitely live by the mantra and the biblical verse, to whom much is given, much is required. I learned that from my grandfather, who was a college president, and I've carried it with me in my work ever since. So thank you for the warm introduction.
Oh, it's wonderful, and thank you for giving us your time. Dianna, the Inner Club, which I founded about 6-7 years ago, is empowering a network of entrepreneurs in the real world. And as a plastic surgeon for the last 35 years and as a working doctor for 40 years, the real world is a world without disease. The real world is a world where there's no inflammation, as I'm concerned. Because, we live in a world where there's just smoke and dents and haze and everything outside of us. And we're trying to survive in this bubble. And, and so I'm delighted that you are here with us, because you can give us a sense of work balance to empower all these entrepreneurs. And I've met so many people. I turned 70 this year. And when last night I was listening to two contenders to become the Prime Minister of United Kingdom. And Dianna, 40 years ago when I was in England, it was nothing but inflation, inflation, inflation. 40 years ago. Today and last night, they were talking about inflation, inflation, inflation. So you see, no matter what the environment is, here is a PM, two contenders, and what are they talking about, Dianna? This is United Kingdom. No food on the table, no fuel to cost of fuel, and we're going through a bad winter. Now listen, Dianna, give us the raw deal. Tell us how you have navigated from all the spaces in life. And I want to quote a Holocaust survivor, Viktor Frankl. And maybe that would be the tone for our morning discussion. Between a stimulus and a response is a space. In that space lies the power for us to choose.
Right.
We can choose freedom, and we can choose another way out where we are caught in as prisoners of sin. So I think at the end of the day, it's all about choices. So Dianna, tell us, give us an insight of where you have come from and where you are today and what's happening on the other side of the world.
Thank you for the question. And I would say that there isn't any one of us that hasn't gone through some mess, some trials, some tribulations, some things that were, I would say, made to destroy you. And whether it's during childhood, or you didn't get what you wanted or deserved, in a relationship or a marriage, or that business failed or didn't start, dreams deferred, you name it. But the one thing that I think is the most pervasive thing for any successful person is the mindset. The
Right.
mindset that says, you know what? Yes, that happened. And yes, it was awful, but I'm going to keep moving forward. If not for me, for my family, for my kids, for my own self edification of I have to win. And that really has pushed me. I mean, I've had divorces, I've had, near bankruptcies, lost family members, friends, you name it. And that whole, what, let me wake up every day, let me say my prayers, let me ask, what do you want me to do, to your higher being? How do you want me to live? How do you want me to show up? And lay your petitions down, but get up and get out and do something.
Right.
And if you have that constant beat in your own head, it will negate the naysayers that are like, oh, you can't. Or it'll negate the ones that are in your spirit, the ones that you have to fight against for yourself to say, I'm not good enough, or I haven't done enough, or I'm not smart enough. Yes, you are. And even if you're not, that's okay. Because that's what the whole networking and connecting with other like-minded people is all about. How are you surrounding yourself with people that are feeding your soul, feeding your spirit, feeding you with financial wellness, healthy living lifestyles? It's really about not just the mindset. Yes, that is number one most important thing. I cannot. There's nothing else. There's no book or friend that can tell you that. I mean, it really is. It's just how you show up in the world, and then the rest is how you nurture it. With people, with reading, with your different networks, with making sure you're not the smartest person in the room.
Right.
You need to surround yourself with people that are smarter than you, that will feed into you things that you don't know. Like, I absolutely love smart people. Yes,
Right.
I'm a strategist. Yes, I'm an ideator. I can take something from an idea to monetization. However, I got that way because I surrounded myself with really smart people all the time. And I just kept going to different circles to find and to talk to really interesting people to get different perspectives. So I'll pause there, but I would say number 1, 2, 3 through 10 is that mindset that you bring to your world.
Diana, if there was a dart board here and I had a dart and I want to throw it, it's bullseye because it's all about the mind. And, as a doctor, we've only got one mindset, and that is service. We have been serving everybody our lives. And so the sphere of influence that we surround ourselves with are always doctors, and there's never been a chance. And I find that growing up, I didn't have the luxury of surrounding myself with people who are like-minded, who really can have a conversation like this with me and help me navigate through the real struggles in life, Diana. I mean, when you talk about mindset, tell me and tell this whole world that's listening in, whether it's 2 or 200, where did you source out that mindset? I mean, there are all sorts of people around you. And like Jim Rohn used to say, you surround yourself with 5 people, you'll become like one of the 5. How did you get that mindset change? Because that's a challenge. When you face, a situation where you can't change, you have to change yourself. So how did you manage to get that resource within yourself and get up and go? Because I struggle with that till today.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really interesting question that I've never really asked myself. But as you were asking it, I'm like, where was the core? I would say the core came from though I was raised in a home with two parents, three brothers. I'm the youngest, so I always had to, and the only girl. So I always had to be a little
Okay.
tougher
Yeah.
to be able to hold my own in this house.
Yeah,
Uh,
right.
but I also saw how my mom suffered, just trying to keep it all together. And it got to her a lot, taking medication to balance it, and the anxiety, the emotions of just raising a family, working full time, being the woman, magnificent woman that she is, in community. And the weight of it, I saw firsthand how debilitating it was. And
Mm,
as a kid, I made a determination that I did not want the weight of the world to impact me so much where I had to take pills for the rest of my life. So I
right.
then started to figure out, like, okay, what are the natural things I could do? I mean, I was a kid thinking about these things. Like, I don't want to be that. So how do I not be that? And as a kid, I was like, I'm going to be a child, psychiatrist, or I'm going to go into the medical field because I need to figure out how nature can cure us, with berries and fruits and magnesium and such. Yeah, as a kid. And that later kind of just translated to me being a naturopath, me seeking, my spirit world, prayer, and kind of formulating this version of what I deemed to be healthy. And then it kind of just took off. I was reading books about it, a healthy mindset, how your mind can heal you, on and on. And, being a naturopath and, the setting it intentions, so that I am pouring positivity in my head. My therapist and I definitely agree and say, go to therapy, when you need it, always says that she's like, your mind is so powerful. You
Mm,
can create your reality. You can create your way out of anything because your
transform.
mind says, you know what, this sucks and I hate it, but tomorrow I'm going to wake up, hopefully. And tomorrow I can do XYZ to make it a little better. So let me focus on what I can do tomorrow and wallow in my pity party of today. But I would
Right.
say it came from watching my mom and how just the weight of the world was so hard. But she managed to put 4 kids through college. She managed to be an outstanding, citizen and, blood banking services worldwide and teaching technology worldwide. I mean, my
Yeah.
mom's like a badass, but I also saw how that kind of do all be all woman could also make you really, really challenged, medically and emotionally.
Right.
And I was like, no, I want it all.
I sauced you out when I heard you talking about the sandwich generation. And I happen to have just stumbled upon this particular word or coinage, because I was writing about this Asia Pacific thing and how do you get your mindset in order, and I was talking to people who are 30, because in this part of the world, at least in Malaysia, they're getting married so early. At 28 years old, 29 years old, they got kids running all over the place and they're looking after parents and
Mhm.
struggling. And yet, Diana, my passion was when I talked to them, 30-year-old girls sitting somewhere having a coffee, having a cappuccino, and I said, hey, do you know that how important your finance is when you have come to my age and all that? I've never really thought about it. That, you see, so this generation, so-called sandwich, is walking into a dead storm.
Mhm.
I would call it desert storm those days,
Yep.
and this is why listening to you this morning is God sent, because how do you speak? I mean, how did you navigate yourself from youth space to this aging space and find yourself that you had some purpose in it and became the chief development officer. Obviously, there must have been something that triggered it, to get your chi.
Right. Yeah, definitely. The sandwich generation, for those that don't know the term, is a generation of people that have children on one side and older adults that they're taking care of, mom, dad, aunties, on another side, in the same house or the same level of responsibilities. And you're kind of sandwiched in between them. And that's why
Right.
it's called the sandwich. I finally refer to it as the Panini generation because I'm being burnt on both sides. I have some stripes here and here.
Yeah.
The amount of work it takes in order to like keep everything afloat.
What is the name again you used? I didn't.
Panini.
Panini.
It's a sandwich that is toasted on both sides
Uh
in like
huh. Oh, right. Okay.
mushes them down.
Okay. I got you. Yeah, panini. Yeah. Okay. Uh huh.
So, but needless to say, I've been blessed with, two wonderful stepdaughters, and one just graduated college, she's Spelman College, and she's working at NIH. I mean, my God, we're so proud of her. And another on her way to college as a freshman this fall. However, during COVID, I said goodbye to my father. He transitioned and is one of my angels looking over me.
Amen.
And at the same time, became another caregiver again to my mom, who has stage 5 dementia. And naturally, during COVID, you couldn't really, the facilities were so backed up, and the nursing systems and the systems in general were not a good place. So I immediately, as I'm putting my father on the ground, I'm taking care of my mother. And so I'm still, having a little bit of squeeze, but not as much on the children's side because of where they are in their lives, which is great. It's more just advising and making sure that they're, still focused on this young adult journey that they've started. But it's not easy. Anybody that is a caregiver for an older adult will know it's not easy. But one thing I would say that is critical is no one knows what it is to be 65, 75, 85 until you're that age.
Right.
We all know how
Absolutely.
it is to be a teenager. We all know how it is to be in our 20s and 30s if we've ever gotten to that age in life. So we have no reference point to what it is to feel, to do, other than to kind of see it on the periphery. So with that, there's so much preparation. In the States, healthcare can bankrupt you. Absolutely. 80% of the people in the United States will outlive their retirement, meaning we've been given the gift of age, the gift of longer life.
Yes.
But the finances don't add up to maintain that longer life. Therefore, you're going to have 2, 3, sometimes 4 generations living in the same house to maintain all these extra lovely years that we have been given.
Absolutely.
How do you prepare for that?
Absolutely.
How do you prepare for that is having that one job that you've been doing and you're like, I'm going to get a good job and I'm going to be great. No, that is not enough. Not enough at all. You have to actually develop, what I call a money mindset or a hustle mindset. How am I going to pay off my debt to prepare for all these extra years of mom and dad and aunts and such that I'm gonna have to take care of? How am I going to then look at diversifying, my money, like, whether it's a second job or getting another rental property to have residual income coming in? How are you preparing for something that is inevitable? Because not every country has social systems where you can fill out some forms and they send you money every month. And some don't even know if they have those or not. I mean, in the US, we have those systems, but most older adults do not know that they even have access to these billions of dollars that are there every year. They don't even know it. So in countries like Malaysia and other countries around the world, where it really is You, as a younger person, are taking care of those older people. How are you going to do that with very limited means? So it really, as I said, it goes back to that mindset of how am I going to get more revenue? How am I going to work two jobs? How am I going to do a side something online to bring me income? Who am I going to partner with? That may
Absolutely.
she or he and I can come together and maybe we can buy a rental property, Airbnb it out. I mean, there's things you got to do in order to be okay on the other end of this, because it is coming. It is inevitable. We all,
Absolutely.
praise the Lord, if we do live that long, we will have some challenges, and that's just the money part of it. Not just the health. I mean, heck, if you break a hip, oh boy, your expenditures go up tremendously as a caregiver and as a person who's going through it. So making that plan of, okay, great, this is how much money we need now. That's great for short term, but what's long term? Know what's coming. Everyone who ages does not age perfectly, where you just live a wonderful life and then one day you don't wake up and then boom, that's when your life is over.
That's right.
Most people suffer for a good 10 years in some ailment or pain, or had a stroke, had some, major health challenge, high blood pressure, hypertension, Black and brown people, you name it, we got it. So how are you going to prepare for living in that time frame with kids on this side going to school and college, hopefully, to mom and dad on this side struggling, or the older person struggling just to, get up every day and feed themselves? Got to make
Absolutely.
a plan. Most people don't have that mindset.
Really?
They have that, I'm going to get a job, I'll figure it out at some point,
Maybe I'm
and
not
then
on it.
wonder why they're struggling. And mind you, my energy is spent. I spend a lot of energy making sure that I'm okay and my family is okay too.
Wonderful. I mean, this is a story well told, because you're living what you're going through, and I think a lot of folks in this particular generation that we are talking about are actually blindfolded because they're not seeing ahead onto the trials until they have gone through it. I know what it was to when I bought my first house with my own money. I remember it was just land, and I took a flag and I planted the flag, Diana, and I said, "This is my land," like, you know what I mean? Yeah, and then bang, 1997 crash. I had to sell the house. You see, and that was really traumatic for me. Nobody knows those tears. You're a plastic surgeon. Nobody's coming for cosmetic surgery. They can't afford it, and everything was sold. And your dire straits, and then you some or others, source out that, and that's when I connected with God more, and that did the first Asia Pacific consultation on discipleship, because I realized there was more to it than this land. Because the guy who bought the land renovated it, or the house, and he had a big signboard that said Kingdom Builders. And so I got a wake up call, and God said, "No, I'm bringing you out to build my kingdom," that kind of thing. And
Absolutely.
so, so that's why, and I feel it now, and I know that I could have made decisions along the way that were much more prudent. And the one snare, if I look back now, that really took me down the pits over and over again, Diana, was finance.
Yep. Every time.
I mean, health, everybody aging is a side effect of living.
Yep.
And they come to see me for anti-aging, and I say, no, it's about smart aging. And now I realize that it's all about smart partnership. So that's where you went into. You partnered, number one, with yourself.
Yes.
You get it right. And then you
Did.
did that rental income and real estate and built it up. So tell me, when you talk about financial responsibility, now let's move into that area. What's your take home now for those who are living in this particular 30 to 45, 48, that particular space? Um,
Yeah.
because everybody's trying to scramble for a quick way out of how to earn, and it's not going to be easy, because as you go into this inflation and prices start to, money is half its worth. um, I'm a big believer in networking, and I believe that that's the biggest of the 21st century business entity that one can do, because we're all going to be in the same space. So it's best to network with one another, because you know that each need each other.
Yes.
The properties will go up and down with the climate of what's happening outside in the world. But you and I need to survive. And so if we can network and do something online together, I believe that's the next business of the 21st century. So talk to us. How do these people who are listening in take a hold of where you are now, where you can sit back and say it was all worth it, that one chicken? you know?
Well, I have been where you are, where, I flatlined and had absolutely nothing. My ex took all the money out of every account. I just had my clothes and was living in somebody's basement apartment. So I went absolutely nothing. And, building back, definitely mindset, but the other was my circles. Okay, who can help me one be okay with the crazy that's going on in my life, because spiral is real, and those financial dings that are there to knock you down are real.
Right.
And that mindset of, okay, I'm not going to let this kill me, truly helped. But then it was my sister girls, because people are like, oh, so how did you become like this? Like, is your family or is everyone else like this? I'm like, no, my brothers are just like, hey, I'll get a job and I'm gonna do my thing and I'm gonna do good work. And I am more like hustle, 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 do what it takes, whatever it takes. Who do I need to talk to? Who has this? Who has that? Not to use, but to connect.
Right.
I'm a connector.
There you go.
People come to me at this point because I know a lot of people, and I have a great business acumen of putting things together so that it's either has a monetary value or exchange, or you're sharing ideas to say yeses and nos to what you want to do in order to make change, make money.
Right.
So, working with like my friends now, most of them are entrepreneurs. My best friend is also my mentor. She has a successful HR staffing firm. And I'm like, okay, I know we're besties, but tell me how you did this. Tell me, your 2 steps of what you would do differently. And I ask questions. I never, ever pretend that I'm the smartest person. Though I am smart. Yeah. I never pretend to be that way. I need to know, okay, so how did you do this and how did you get that done? And I take notes. I report back in, just because I am a learner of life. And though I've started DiCam Strategic Solutions during a recession, during a time when I was laid off, I didn't plan for it, but I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I prayed about it. If this is my journey, it will manifest. Let me put on my hustle mentality hat, talk to all of my friends, my clients, my customers, everybody I used to network with, be on LinkedIn, Facebook, social media, rebrand myself, and jump and see where I land. But yeah, it is, and you're right, the currency of networking is huge. The
Absolutely.
currency of knowing what someone else knows so that you can do what you do and get there faster is worth its weight in gold. Many of my friends who are all in business all say to me, and I proudly accept it, they're like, you move 3 times faster than we did. You out the gate within a year of hiring people and da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, yes. I was like, because you told me to. They're like, yeah, but people don't do it. You can give people a map all day long and they still won't follow it and end up in the water. So, I'm like, well, I'm a good student and I want to know. And I humbled myself. Yes, I was this, that, and the other, and I've raised $150 million. I managed teams to raise $500 million. I know CEOs, la, la, la. That means nothing when I'm starting my own startup,
Right.
unless I tap into that network. I tap into the connections. I learn and I listen. Listen.
When
So
you
I'll there.
no. Listen, you're speaking right to my heart because I want to ask you this on a very personal note. Now, I've got LinkedIn, you name it, social media, Facebook, Instagram. I'm all over the place. I'm the only plastic surgeon that does live on Wednesdays and Fridays, and there you go. Now, how do you handle this, Diana? So I put up an advert and I say, I've got you speaking and blah, blah, blah. And I've got about 4,000 over people who are following me on Instagram. And I don't get one comment or looking forward to this or looking forward to that. I mean, have you gone through that kind of dire straits where you've got something so exciting to share and for people to listen, but bang, it's a zero mark, it's a flat line, like everybody's having a heart attack, and I'm not reaching out? How do you have you been in that place? And how do you
Yeah.
pick yourself up and say it's okay, it's okay? There's a limit of how much it's okay. That's why my last post said it's not okay if you forget this time, to wake up people to join us at 9 o'clock in the morning. So tell me, on a personal note, have you come across that energy that is bubbling in you, and you got to tell something, and then it's a flat line, and nobody's responding?
Yes. Yes, I have. And what it is that we live in a social media bubble of, I throw it out there and somebody's going to catch it.
You're
I'm
right.
going to go live and there's going to be people. I'm going to just press this and they're going to appear and log in and everything's going to be, and it doesn't work that way. You actually have to build yourself as a content expert continuously before you even go live, so that you're dripping and dropping the seeds along the way. Hey, this is coming. Hey, did it? And it's like so much work on the front end to get people to be like, oh, yeah, that's right. Because you're having to get through the clutter of social media and all the other things that are just, bombarding people of things that they can listen to and engage with their time. So
Right.
dropping content up, a week before something or 3-4 days, it has to drip all the way through. And then the day of, a couple of more drips. And then that gets people to say, oh, yeah, that's right. But it's a lot of work. It really is. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, I mean,
I tend to not do them because my content is, more around money and finance and partnerships and alliances and how to do X, Y's, and Z's. So I'll do webinars periodically and that are free. But even with that, the marketing of them, the dripping, the inviting, the constant outreach, hey, it's in 2 days, make sure you register. Hey, it's today, log on. God bless. By the time I actually have it, I'm tired. So
yeah.
I'm excited because I'm like, yes, people are here.
You're
Yes.
right. Yeah. No, I mean, I read you well because I've been on that same page, and then when I finish after about an hour, and I tell my girl Mary, what happened?
Blur.
And, I'm all parsed up, and I say, how many people attended? 6, and you know. But
Yes.
yeah, but listen, I mean, we've had a lovely time going through. I'm going to have you again, and maybe we will do a connectinar, like a connectinar, not a webinar, but a connectinar, where we get everybody taking the nectar from a pollen, you know what I mean, from a flower. But tell me, as we kind of like close into the emotions at the end of a movie, the best part is always at the end, and when I'm talking, coming back again to the passion for this particular generation, Diana, You're so resourceful. You've developed skill sets. What would be the message to somebody who has no inkling that there's a storm coming? Where do they start? And as you said just now, picking up another income, getting on another pipeline, but we should not allow the world to define who we are as a people and as a person. We are already created for more. That's why I have this mantra: be more and earn more. I guess the greatest gift is the ability to earn. And we were created for being more of ourselves. So for someone out there, what's the medicine? Because our body is the best pharmacy we can ever have. And just give us some pointers that I can wrap up, and something that will keep them right alive in the iota, and feed to the rest of the body. So give us some take homes that we can add to the chicken that's going to be there for the next 2 weeks.
I would say that just as young people Google everything, and you Google, if you're starting a family, how much is it to raise a child? You're Googling all these things because they're important to you. You Google, recipes, you're Googling, who had on what, Snapchat, TikTok. You are spending a whole lot of time looking up things for your day to day. I would recommend that you just spend a little, and I do mean just a little bit of time. How much is it to be a person who is 65? How much money will I need at 65 to live if I don't have a job? How much is it to? And when you started Googling other things, it will open up your mind to the, oh my God, I need to get ready mentality, because it is coming. If we are lucky, we will age. But knowing that this world that we live in is grossly unprepared to live in retirement is a wake-up call. And I'm thankful for this platform to still ring that alarm. Try Googling other things,
right,
to make you more prepared of what's to come, because it is there. And then you're going to have to start thinking about your short and long-term budget needs. Like, all right, now we got to add extra $100 a month to something that we need to go ahead and put in a fund. It should spark something that turns on differently. Not just, oh, we got to get some school supplies. Oh, no, we got to get a new car. Oh, no, we might need to save for college. Yes, yes, and yes. But we need to save for when my mom or my dad are not going to be able to, survive on their own.
right.
How much is, if you break something, how much is that? Start talking to your doctors when you go in and you're taking your kids in for those, checks. So how much is it, a year to take care of an older adult? Oh, that's that much, depending on, this is the range, and you will be blown. But again, start Googling something different, and then you come up with some different answers to how to prepare for what's coming.
Wow,
Because
that's beautiful. I mean, that is really, from someone from my age looking and listening. That's the last chapter that anybody can write, and it's good to write that chapter now, so that it's nice and complete. And on that note, I want to ask you finally, from a mindset of scarcity to a mindset of abundance, what does the abundant life look like to you? To more that has been given, much more is required. So talk to us about that abundant life. Have you reached there? Have you got there, to that place where you say, I am abundantly fulfilled? What is that fulfilled life? Everybody talks about the fulfilled life, and so tell us the difference. I mean, I think scarcity of a mindset, we know that we've lived it, and we have journeyed through it. But the abundant mindset is what people need to know, that it's available.
yeah, too much is given, much is required. I live by it. I have lived by my entire life. And that abundant lifestyle or abundant mindset doesn't really have to do with money.
Right.
It has to
Absolutely.
do with a peace of mind that you know you are doing and giving to the world and pouring into people and giving love and grace and support, but also knowing boundaries, knowing when you need love and grace and support. So that mindset of abundance is really an outpouring, but also an inpouring. Loving on yourself. I told a girlfriend of mine the other day, I have a PhD in loving me because I am really good at knowing when I've reached my limit of being a giver, a doer, a supporter, a nurturer, all these things I give out to the world, which I love to do. I absolutely love it. I'm put on this earth in order to make somebody else's life better. I know that. But it holds a lot of responsibility and weight. So I then need to pull back and say, okay, how do I replenish my soul and my spirit? Let me go commune with nature. Let me go for a hike. Let me go fish. I love fishing. Let me be with some good girlfriends or good male friends or something. Be with my family. How do I replenish? So that abundant lifestyle, it really comes from you saying, I'm going to do something for someone else, and I'm going to, give love and grace in the world and also expect it back.
Right.
Reciprocal relationships are king and queen. Make sure you're surrounded with somebody in your circles that are actually giving you that reciprocal nature to feed your abundance.
Yes. Oh, beautifully said. Because I remember the first person I spoke to when I started HEARTtalk after my open heart surgery was a psychologist in Sydney. And then the first word she said to me, Dianna, she said, be kind to yourself. And I said, I'm still learning. I still do not know what it is to be kind to myself. And I certainly know that, it's a journey that we all charter for ourselves. And talking to you has certainly spiced up that there's more to come. And listen, Diana, it's been a delight really talking to you. I could spend the whole year on this podcast with you. And so thank you. You need to come to this part of the world because it's a different sun and a different moon.
Yes,
It'd be wonderful that we could do more and more of this connect and network.
I would love
And I think this is something that we all need to hear right now as we enter 2023. We still got this next 6 months to get it right. And you've spoken to me personally, and I hope that many who would listen in would also be encouraged that, too much is given, much is required. And the moment there's an outflow in our lives, that's when abundance starts to
it does.
really
And you
thrive.
attract it more. The more you give out to the world in abundance, oh my goodness, the manna from heaven that comes back because you are, and you're in a good vibration, good energy. It's
Yeah.
fantastic. Try it.
You know,
You'll love it.
yeah, I'm telling you, I've been trying it, and this time I'm going to put another plug to it. And
Right.
so we're coming up with this, this masterclass of mindfulness and manifestation in a Christian perspective. It's not about the law of attraction. No, I think the most important thing is that you need to find peace in yourself first. And I think once we are at home with ourselves, that's when abundance takes its residence. And I think so. Listen, so love you. Thank you. And listen, it's 10 o'clock at night down yonder, and have that chicken on us. I
Love
hope
it.
you I hope you enjoyed yourself, because this time you can have the whole chicken for yourself.
Take it from me and you.
Yeah, you. And so thank you very much. And we will meet again in the next Inner Club. Continue to empower yourself, your entrepreneurs, but become professionals in whatever you do, because life is short and we can make the best of it. So thank you, everyone.